Hey, it's Base from BaseFit Official. Welcome to today's episode where we'll be talking about how to get stronger and less dysfunctional. Very important. What we're going to learn, how to understand the TVA, the transversus abdominis, how to strengthen the TVA and why that's important, understand the general concept of muscular imbalances and how to fix it, which is also important. These all have a massive effect on getting stronger and less dysfunctional. So your TVA, your transversus abdominis, is a deep muscle within the inner unit of the core, and it kind of runs laterally all the way around, I guess, your trunk. And it's responsible for increasing intra-abdominal pressure, which is an important mechanism when you're lifting weights, and that's basically when the belly button gets pulled in, which is when the TVA activates. It pushes the viscera and the organs up and down. It pushes it up into the flattened diaphragm, raising it a little bit, and down into the lower portion of the trunk or the torso. This creates an incompressible unit. Imagine it like that. So this is your core, and it's like a solid foundation, a solid base for you to move, basically. It causes extension, causes an extension force when flexed. So if you're going to go pick up a heavy object like a stone or something, and you pick it up like that, that's ideally your TVA activates and causes a little bit of an extension force within your spine. That intra-abdominal pressure is responsible for a lot of the stabilization of the spine and the extremities. So that's very important point to take on, and as I said, pulling in the belly button is how you can tell that your TVA is activated or not activated. So, if you don't have a kind of well-working transversus abdominis, you're going to suffer from neck pain, lower back pain, knee pain, hip pain, ankle pain, all different types of pain. Your stomach will be distended. It's really not good news. You'll have bad posture. The list goes on. So you need to learn to strengthen your TVA. Now the best way to do that is to isolate it and then integrate it. And I've laid out here beautiful diagrams, certain way, the exact step-by-step how to strengthen your TVA. So just bear with me whilst I explain, and you will understand how to strengthen your TVA. So we have first exercise, second exercise, and third exercise. These are progressions in the type of exercise. Then we have level 1, level 2, level 3. These are progressions in the level of so you're on level 1 and then you work through all 3. Then you hop onto level 2, go through all 3 progressions. Then you're onto level 3 and you go through all 3 progressions. Hope that makes sense. So the first one is a 4-point tummy tuck. So you're on all 4s, and when you breathe in, you let your belly button sag. When you breathe out, you draw your belly button in. And on the first progression, you hold that for 10 seconds. And then after 10 seconds, you relax, and you breathe in. And you relax for 10 seconds. And that's 1 repetition, and you go through that 10 times. And you do that for 1, build up to 3 sets. Once you can do 3 sets of that, in the tummy tucked position, in the 4-point vacuum position, then you can move on to the second position, which is like a semi-stood up position. So as you can see, he's kind of bent over with a straight spine, hands on his knees, and he's doing the same thing when he's breathing in, and resting the belly button, and breathing out, drawing in the belly button. So the second level of progression that you'll want to get to is being in that contracted, activated state, breathing out and drawing your belly button in for 10 seconds, and then only resting for 5 seconds. And you want to go through that 10 times, 1 to 3 sets. Then you will get onto the level 3, which is being able to hold that position for 120 seconds continuously. Now once you hit the level 3, 120 seconds continuously, then you are able to move up to the next exercise. Then you'll have to work through them again, and then go up to the next exercise and finally work through them again. For the 120 seconds, you need to work up to that, and what I would recommend is doing a max hold for your first set, and then resting 50% of the amount of time that you could hold it for. So say you held it for 60 seconds, then you'd rest for 30 seconds. And then say you only held it for 30 seconds, you'd rest for 15 seconds. Hope you understand. In the first few, in level 1 and level 2, if you're doing multiple sets onto like 2 to 3 sets, then you rest 1 minute. Hope that makes sense. Once you get to this point, and you hit level 3 and you can hold it for 120 seconds, your TVA will be very strong. It'll be stronger than the majority of people. You should be sorting out your back pain, hip pain, knee pain, shoulder pain. All these different sorts of pains will start to go away if you begin to integrate it into your movements, into your deadlift, lunge, squat, overhead press. All of these different exercises you should be breathing in and pulling in your belly button so that you create that intra-abdominal pressure and stabilize the spine and the trunk. So doing that alone is gonna get you a lot stronger and less dysfunctional. A lot stronger and less dysfunctional. So how can we forward this and increase this? We have a look at your posture and your muscular imbalances. So your posture determines the quality of the movement. If you start in the wrong place, you're likely to end up in the wrong place. So if we have a look here, I want you to pay special attention to the pelvis. This is a horribly simplistic drawing, but just go with it. A lot of the time you'll see a postural dysfunction, and you'll either see an anterior pelvic tilt, so tilting anteriorly, forwardly, such as here, or you'll see a posterior pelvic tilt, like this, where it won't be that defined, but it will look like he has no butt, basically. So what you'll tend to find with these postures is that there are key muscles, certain muscles that are either tight or weak. So in the anteriorly tilted pelvis, what you'll notice is that the muscles kind of in the crease of your hip here, your hip flexors, they'll tend to be tight, tonic, they'll be hyperactive, along with your lower back muscles. So imagine, you won't be able to see my head, but imagine this is a normal pelvis here. Imagine this is tight, so let's draw me in here, and the lower back is tight, and that's, so tighten in there, Julie, will cause this kind of posture. Now with this, you have the weak long muscles, so that would be your hamstring. So imagine if you're in this position, your hamstring here doesn't have enough strength to pull it back into place, and neither does your lower abdominals. So the plan here would be to stretch your hip flexors and your lower back, and strengthen your lower abdominals and your hamstrings. But it doesn't end there, because people who tend to have a pelvis dysfunction, deterioration in posture, it will work its way all the way up the spine, and what you tend to get is a rounding of the shoulders, maybe a kyphosis of the spine, an upper curving of the spine, and a forward head posture. Now these are created by multiple different things. You might have tight upper abdominals from a lot of crunching exercises that people tend to do at the gym. You have tight pec minors, which will draw your shoulders forward from lots of bench pressing that people tend to do at the gym. And you'll have, again, kind of tight muscles around your neck because of the way people do crunches and pull on their heads and do all sorts of stuff wrong. Then you'll have the elongated muscles all down the back here, so you'll have elongated within your neck, and you'll also have elongated muscles in your thoracic extensors, so your rhomboids, your middle to lower trapezius, your rhomboids. All of these different muscles will be elongated. Now up here you need to stretch your upper abdominals, your pec minor, and you need to stretch the certain muscles in your neck that are tight, and strengthen the extensors of the thoracic kind of portion of the spine. Now, you could do this by paying attention to your posture, which is definitely a fantastic option, but you could also do this by just picking a stretch for each part, each kind of major muscle of the body, and going through each of the stretches. And the stretches that feel easy and not tight, you don't need to do those. But the muscles that feel tight, so say you have tight hip flexors, doing this stretch, let me swap legs. So pushing forward here, you'll feel it real tight all up in here. So you need to stretch that before you exercise. Now you'll notice I said before you exercise. That's because the human body is like a bike wheel with lots of spokes. So if you imagine one of the spokes is kind of off, is either too tight or it's too loose, it will throw the entire efficiency of the wheel off. That's similar to your muscles. If a muscle or a couple of muscles are too tight and some are too loose, it's going to throw off the efficiency of the body. So what you want to do is stretch the tight muscles before you do your exercise. Now you'll want to take precautions by lowering the weight, because you will be weaker because you're using these muscles that are long and weak. But you need to use them in order to fix that muscular imbalance. Now that is the second step of multiple steps to how to get stronger and dysfunctional. I hope we've hit all of these objectives and that you now understand the TVA, how to strengthen the TVA, you understand the general concept of muscular imbalances, and you understand how to fix common muscular imbalances, such as this one. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. It's been pretty full on. If you have any questions, message me privately, DM me on Instagram. Train hard.